For some teams, the writing's on the wall.
The owner of the New York Jets, Woody Johnson, making decisions on the roster based on a player's rating in the Madden video game. I am without speech.
Rebuilding is sometimes the only path back to relevance. So today, we take a look around the NFL and call out 5 franchises that need to strip it down to studs and rebuild, and 5 that should be gearing up for a Super Bowl run next year. Rebuild New York Jets. The New York Jets walked into 2023 with dreams of Super Bowl glory. Aaron Rodgers' jerseys flying off the shelves and a swagger that they haven't had since Joe Namath promised a trophy. 4 snaps later, Rodgers tore his Achilles, and those dreams turned into a never-ending nightmare. And while many New York fans came into this season with hope renewed, a leaky offensive line and a defense that has been left to rot in frustration have all combined to create a stench that even the most optimistic Jets fan cannot ignore. The Rodgers gamble blew up, and now the front office has to face reality. This core just ain't good enough. It's time to sell off assets, get younger, and figure out what a post-Rodgers plan actually looks like. Starting off with a new head coach, a new general manager, and most likely a new quarterback. All in, Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have assembled one of the fastest, most explosive offenses the league has ever seen. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are track stars on the outside disguised as receivers. The Dolphins' running game is almost as plug-and-play as the great 49ers rushing attacks that we've seen over the past couple of years. And Tua Tagovailoa has showed what he can do when he's not getting knocked around like a pinball. Obviously, there's always an injury risk with him as their quarterback, but if they're going to keep him as their go-to guy, it's time to push the chips to the middle of the table and actually go all in. The Dolphins' defense took a hit with injuries in 2024. I mean, losing Jalen Ramsey is a game changer in the secondary, and that's just the tip of the injury iceberg for the Fins. But Anthony Weaver's system is still starting to take shape, and if the front office can go out and get the kind of pass rushers that they need to complement rookie Chop Robinson, who's had a very nice start to his NFL career and some help in the secondary, we could actually see Miami put out one of the better defenses in the league next year. The AFC may be a shark tank, but Miami has the teeth to swim with the big boys if they make a couple of strategic moves this offseason. Ownership should probably be adopting a whatever-it-takes philosophy because the window is open and the fans in South Beach are hungry for some results. Rebuild New York Giants. The New York Giants are living proof that one miracle playoff run does not mean that you're set for the future. Brian Daboll and Daniel Jones fooled everyone with a respectable 2022, but the 2023 sequel was absolutely brutal, and it's led to more bad decisions, bad contracts, and overall bad vibes all around. To make matters worse for the G-men, Saquon Barkley, who has been the lone bright spot in New York since they drafted the Penn State standout, is no longer dragging this offense by his sheer willpower, but rather putting up numbers for one of New York's most hated rivals, the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm gonna have a tough time sleeping if Saquon goes to Philadelphia, I'll tell you that.
Brian Daboll might be a great coach, but there is no fixing this roster without a full-on teardown. The Giants have taken the first step in a full-on rebuild by finally admitting that they whiffed on Jones with the 6th overall pick in 2019. It's time for New York to stock up on draft capital to rebuild a team that can actually compete in the NFC East from the ground up. All in, Cincinnati Bengals. 2024 has been a massive disappointment for Joe Burrow in the Cincinnati Bengals. The pieces are there, Burrow, Chase, Higgins. This offense should be elite, but the coaching staff has really struggled to adapt and the defense has not been able to stop a nosebleed. Many people have pointed fingers at defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, whose reputation has taken a beating this year. And yeah, with pretty good reason, as the Bengals defense has been an absolute train wreck, and it continues to fold when the offense needed them most. Blown coverages, missed tackles, and a shocking inability to get stops in crunch time have cost the Bengals dearly. So while there was a sense in Cincinnati that the Bengals were all in coming into the season with Joe Burrow finally healthy again, they absolutely need to keep the foot on the gas heading into this offseason. Otherwise, Joe Burrow's window could slam shut faster than expected. And with 1 or 2 more disappointing seasons like this, their franchise quarterback could start to look toward greener pastures, if he hasn't already. The Bengals need to double down on building a defense that can actually hold the line, and complement an offense that has been among the best in the league in 2024. Rebuild Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence's ascent at the end of the 2022 season felt like the start of something special, and the start of the 2023 season seemed to mark Jacksonville's arrival. But after that 8-3 start, the Jags came crashing back down to earth, and in 2024, well, it's been more the same, if not worse. Lawrence's development stalled behind a shaky offensive line, and now he's out for the remainder of the season. And head coach Doug Peterson seems to have lost his ability to connect with his young squad. Not to mention the front office. The AFC South is not the gauntlet that other divisions are, and this roster still isn't keeping up. The Jags simply need to face facts, strip it down, rebuild the trenches, and give Lawrence the protection and support that he needs to live up to that generational talent billing. If they keep pretending everything's fine, they're going to find themselves in the bottom of the standings yet again in 2025. All in, Chicago Bears. The 2024 season was supposed to be a turning point for the Chicago Bears. Instead, it's just been a massive disappointment. And actually, that might be underselling it a bit. I mean, they made some bold moves in the 2023 offseason, and Bears fans were riding high coming into the year. But, well, the pieces clearly did not fit, and Matt Eberflus is gone. Now it's time to protect their future and their number one investment and asset, Caleb Williams. The good news is that the Bears have their franchise quarterback in Williams, the 2024 number one overall pick, who brings a mix of poise, arm talent, and playmaking ability. But you know, if they want to maximize his potential, capitalize on his rookie contract window, and avoid ruining him, like so many terrible franchises do to talented young signal callers, well, they need to act fast. The first priority has to be hiring the right head coach, one that is aligned with Ryan Poles and believes in Caleb. Then, they got to address the offensive line. Williams cannot develop into a star if he is running for his life every Sunday. Finally, they need to invest in the defense. The unit has shown flashes, but needs more consistency and playmakers to keep games competitive. The Bears have the resources, multiple high draft picks and a ton of cap space. It's time to spend wisely, draft smart, and just go all in. Rebuild New Orleans Saints. The Saints have been clinging to the reveries of the Drew Brees era for too long. And, well, it's officially caught up to them. Derek Carr was supposed to steady the ship, but instead, he's been another overpriced patch on a sinking vessel. Alvin Kamara's prime is fading, Michael Thomas is long gone, and the defense isn't getting any younger. I mean, at least they finally pulled the trigger on firing Dennis Allen, who was an absolutely horrendous head coach for them. But it's gonna take more than just leaning on the charisma of interim head coach Darren Rizzi to reboot this troubled franchise. They need to navigate the market to get themselves out of cap hell ASAP, rebuild with youth through the draft, and let go of the belief that they are going to rebuild this thing on the fly. It is well past due to just go back to zero and start fresh. All in, Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals might just be on the verge of something special. Kyler Murray has looked sharp most of the year since returning from injury, proving that he is still one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the league when he is focused on the field. He's making plays with both his arm and his legs, keeping defenses guessing and giving the offense a fighting chance despite the lack of playmaking going on the outside. Unfortunately, Marvin Harrison Jr. has had far more growing pains than most have anticipated. Arizona needs to find some talented vets to add to that receiving room. And the defense, while inconsistent, has shown flashes of brilliance. They are young, hungry, and just need a few more pieces to turn those flashes into dominance that can sustain a season and maybe even a deep playoff run. If the front office can find consistent playmakers on both sides of the ball heading into the 2025 season, then you know, this team could surprise a lot of people. Rebuild Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons rolled the dice on Kirk Cousins in 2024, and it came up snake eyes. Cousins has been a bust, failing to elevate a team that desperately needed stability under center. Now it's time to pivot to the future with Michael Penix Jr. and just structure the rebuild around him. Good news? The Falcons have star power at the skill positions. Bijan Robinson is a game changer, Drake London is a physical presence at receiver, and Kyle Pitts has the talent to dominate if used correctly. In addition to rebuilding the offensive line, Atlanta needs to shore up the defense, which has been gashed far too many times in 2024. And accepting that a full teardown is required is the only way forward. All in, Los Angeles Chargers. The Jim Harbaugh era in Los Angeles has already changed the Chargers culture. Gone are the days of sloppy play and missed opportunities. Harbaugh has brought a sense of toughness, discipline, and purpose to a team that desperately needed it. I mean, just think about how different this team looks under his leadership than it did with Brandon Staley calling the shots. It's night and day.
This group has found a way to stay together the whole season. Okay? The whole season. And today was no exception. How about the Chargers?
Just Justin Herbert is thriving under Harbaugh's guidance. The chemistry between coach and quarterback is undeniable, and Herbert's elite arm talent is finally being maximized. The defense, led by Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, and Derwin James, has the potential to be a perennial top 5 unit within Harbaugh's scheme. If the front office can add dynamic weapons to complement Herbert and the defense, this team could be an absolute nightmare for the rest of the AFC. It's time to go all in and give the Chargers the firepower that they need to contend for a Super Bowl. But hey, which NFL team do you think most needs to rebuild this offseason? Which squads are showing some promise and need to go all in? Who do you think we got right here? Who do you think we got wrong? Was there anything that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.